All right, let's finish up with this. This is actually I'm really excited for this now that I've done a little bit of research and watched the trailer. So,
Yeah,
what do you know of this? Let me get that first before I go through on it.
literally the only thing I know of this is just thinking of Iron Man 3 and how it was like a fake Mandarin and the Ten Rings. That's pretty much it.
Yes. Okay. So you kind of know a little bit too, which is good. So I watched. Do you watch this trailer?
I did.
Okay, good. So one right off the bat, this movie looks intriguing because I do love, and I have to watch a lot of the old ones too with Bruce Lee, but I love the kind of the action. Like I loved IP Man; those movies were fantastic. I love the just the Japanese art style or Chinese art style of doing those kung fu movies, where it's just fun. It's just so much fun to watch, and it's so entertaining, and it's awesome. So I love those style of movies, and I love that they're finally, I'm very like I'm a person that like loves to see cultures and things like that explored well and represented well. So I love seeing finally, an Asian or a Marvel character of Asian descent, or really kind of showing through, and that's awesome. I think that the world that we live in, where this is movies finally greenlit, is great, and I'm excited for it. Just watching the trailer was awesome. Yeah, it's a teaser, so it's really not like the full thing, but yeah, there was a bunch of things that I learned about it that I was really interesting and I didn't know. So apparently, this has been kind of woven through the entire Marvel universe. It's one of those things again where you don't realize that it was there the whole time, but it was. So, for instance, Raza, I guess, ran one of the Ten Rings factions. You don't know who that is, but if you remember that in Iron Man 1, he gets taken by a group of soldiers in the beginning of the movie, and that group is run by Raza. And Raza is apparently a Ten Rings faction leader and operative. So
I
that's
Who's Raza?
he's
We
like
still don't know
the
that?
he's like the Middle Eastern guy, the bald guy that answers to the bad guy in the movie. Like you know how in
Oh
the
yeah,
original Iron Man movie there was the um his Tony's friend or father's friend or whatever that was ended up being the bad guy. The guy that he talked to that ran the group that kidnapped Tony initially,
right.
he's Raza. He apparently is one of the Ten Rings faction leaders. And so that was actually like a thing. Like that was supposed to be a thing.
Okay, yeah.
So that was a thing. Another thing too is in Iron Man 2, the agent there's an agent that gives Ivan, who ends up becoming Whiplash, the like papers to travel and everything like that, and has an exchange with him. It's an Asian guy. He's also in the Ten Rings. He was an agent of them as well. There's another instance in Ant-Man where in Ant-Man, the bad guy in that who becomes the Wasp, I believe. Ant-Man, what is it? What is his name? Or Yellow Jacket. He becomes Yellow Jacket, the bald guy
Oh
who's
god,
running the
yeah.
tech company. He's selling, what did you say?
I just remember him from I think it was House of Cards or whatever
Yeah,
beforehand. He was just
that's
really
where I
super
remember him.
generic in Ant Man.
Yeah, that's where I remember him too. But anyways, yeah. So he was selling the tech, and at one point there was a bunch of buyers like in the room, and he was like talking to them in the lab. One of the buyers, if you actually saw, it was like a little thing that like you weren't supposed to obviously know what it was unless you know what it was. I guess the buyer like on his neck had a tattoo of the Ten Rings. Um, and so like you couldn't see it like unless you knew what you were looking for, you wouldn't have seen it. But like he does have it if you go back. So like that was another interesting thing where like they popped up again there. Um, and then the other thing too is I watched this guy over at New Rockstars, this podcast there or not podcast YouTube channel at New Rockstars. They always break down everything Marvel fantastically, and there's somebody to go check out for sure. But they broke it down, and in his breakdown, he actually found in the image where there is that fight scene where they're in a cage, or they show the open cage fighting that's happening.
Hmm.
He is in it, and if you look on the left side of the screen, behind the cage is a symbol for Madripoor.
Okay.
So that's where the fighting's taking place. Which a lot of
Ooh.
people, I guess, that watched this trailer and knew that speculated that they would be in Madripoor and that the power broker would have a connection to Mandarin in Ten Rings.
Have you been keeping up to date with the Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Yes, we're up to date on the whole thing. We got to the point where they, didn't reveal what was in the case.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I was just thinking of Madripoor and the Power Broker.
yeah, that's why I'm mentioning that. So that's yeah, so that apparently that's another thing too. They think that that's connected to the Mandarin as well. So the other thing too that I'll say is and this is something that you kind of again don't know unless you know about the character, which I learned about watching these videos and doing research on him. I guess the 10 rings is these or I guess they're these Asian or alien technology that was taken that have developed into these rings. They were actually initially worn on the hand. In the movie or the trailer, it looks like there are actually rings that go around the guy's arms,
Yeah.
5 on each arm. And essentially, they allow the user to have all kinds of abilities from being able to produce lightning, to produce ice, to produce or change reality a little bit, kind of reality stone esque. Things like that basically allows them to also be like almost immortal, where they're like centuries old. And the Mandarin is supposed to be centuries old. That's why they show like old fight scenes from different wars that have been fought previously. And it's all because the Mandarin is supposed to be like hundreds centuries old. So that's interesting as well. Didn't know that, but apparently that's what the Ten Rings are. So that's what this movie will center around. And the way that they pronounced it, by the way, this is how I'm going to pronounce it because this is how Kevin Feige pronounced it in his announcement. Is Shang-Chi. That's the way he pronounced the movie. So apparently, Shang-Chi is the son of the Mandarin, and that's kind of the plot of the movie. Is that he is supposed to take over the mantle or take over by his father's side. His father has his daughter, who is the one that Shang-Chi is fighting in the ring or in that like cage fighting or whatever. And apparently, the daughter is like has been loyal to the father, but like the father is the way you're getting the gist from the trailer is that the father is showing favoritism to the son and wants him to basically take over for him. But obviously, Shang-Chi being like the uh, hero of the movie and a Marvel character, of course, is not going to do that. So that'll be intriguing and that'll be part of the plot, I'm assuming. So yeah, so I'm really excited for it. It actually was super interesting. Bill Pope is one of the people that's working on the movie, or one of the main people working on the movie with the director. Bill Pope, I've known him, but he is the one that did all of the wire working and special effects and everything for The Matrix.
Oh, I think I did hear something about that as well.
Yeah, so that's where he comes from.
Okay. Yeah, I did
The
not
direct
know too much background about this until you pretty much filled in a lot of it. Even though I watched the trailer, I still was like, "Oh, okay."
Well, that's why I watch these breakdowns and everything because I'm like, listen, I want to know a little bit about the character before I actually go into this because I'm like, who is this person? What does he do? What is he? What is it?
Yeah.
Uh, the other thing too I want to mention is the director of the movie is Destin Cretton. He was the director of Just Mercy, which is that Michael B. Jordan movie that came out not too long ago. I haven't watched it, but I've heard really good things about it, and it's on my list to watch. The Glass Castle, which again I guess was another good movie. And then Short Term 12, which I guess was another good movie. Short Term 12 actually had Brie Larson and Rami Malek, if I remember correctly. I haven't seen it, but again, apparently all 3 movies were good. So hopefully that bids well for him as a director for this movie, and hopefully again the movie is successful. And obviously it's welcoming in or it is like one of the new, next movies, first movies welcoming in the new Marvel phase and next sequence of events that'll happen over however many years. So really intriguing. Definitely a character I knew nothing about beforehand, but I'm definitely after doing research intrigued.
Yeah. No, yeah,
So
they are definitely taking a free will on being able to do weirder things that are more interesting now because they've made what they needed to make and they have pretty much a free pass to do whatever they want.
yep.
So that's cool. It's cool to see.